Smallpox. A common disease which killed between 30% and 60% of those infected. Symptoms include fevers, aching and blisters, pox throughout the body. This disease can cause blindness and almost always leave scars in survivors. Immunity. When someone's body is resistant to a disease. Inoculation. A small amount of the disease is introduced to the body to create immunity. Lady Mary Montagu discovered this in Istanbul and inoculated her children against smallpox through introducing a small amount to a scratch between their finger and thumb. Too much could lead to infection. Veriolation. A method of preventing smallpox that was widely used in China before vaccination. It involved blowing a small amount of dried and ground pox up the nose of the patient to trigger production of white blood cells to make someone immune to the disease. Too much could lead to infection. Vaccination. When a select part or related disease is put into a body to develop immunity to the entire disease or the more dangerous relative cowpox and smallpox. Immunity. When someone's body is resistant to a disease. Epidemic. When a disease is common and comes back in a certain place. Smallpox used to be endemic in Britain. Epidemic. A serious outbreak of a disease in which it is spreading. Smallpox epidemics happened in 1796 and 1837-40 with 42,000 dead. Pandemic. When an epidemic affects a large geographical area, such as a country or the world. For example, COVID-19 is a recent global pandemic. Milkmaid. A lady that milked cows. They often caught cowpox, and Jenner noticed that milkmaids never caught smallpox. James Phipps. He was the first person to be vaccinated against smallpox in 1796. He was the son of Jenner's assistant and the test subject for Jenner's ideas. Eradicated. When a disease is wiped out. The Royal Society. A group set up by Charles II in 1660 to coordinate discoveries and breakthroughs in science. Jenner submitted his discovery in 1697. An inquiry into the causes and effects of the cowpox. Jenner's book, published in 1798. Government subsidy. When the government provides money to fund something, the government gave Jenner £30,000 to start and run a vaccination clinic in London. Opposition to Jenner. Reasons included interfering with God's work, parental choice, anti-government control, threats to livelihood. Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch. French and German scientists who developed Jenner's work and applied it to other diseases. Thomas Sydenham. The English Hippocrates. Due to sharing similar observational methods as Hippocrates, he went to Oxford and Cambridge universities. Clinical observation. Something he agreed with Hippocrates on, and this went against the popular Renaissance opinions. Book learning. He distrusted basing diagnoses and treatments on this and suggested that people should trust their own observations. Intervention. When a patient was sick, Sydenham aimed to do as little of this as possible and preferred the idea that the cure might present itself. Ague. A form of malaria Sydenham treated with bark from tropical rainforests. Cold therapy. An approach to treating smallpox used by Sydenham which was based on the four humors. It involved prescribing lots of fluids, very moderate bleeding, and keeping the patient as cool as possible. Dr. Andrew Wakefield. created a false study in The Lancet which linked vaccinations to autism. Anti-Vaccine League, set up in 1866 to oppose forced vaccinations. Anti-Vaxxer movements. There are lots of movements who argue against vaccinations, citing they cause autism or other conditions based on little evidence. Mandatory vaccination. The government strictly enforced smallpox vaccination between 1871-87 and people could be fined as punishment for not vaccinating their children was eased in 1887.